Hello, everyone, and welcome along to a distinctly soggy Circuit Shield Villeneuve in Quebec, Canada, where we are back. So, feels like it's been... I'm trying to find the ideal audio levels. If there's someone in the chat that could say it, that'd be amazing. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's good to be watching Tier 2 again. Oh, that's a tiny bit of lag. It's very good to be back watching the chaos ensuing in Tier 2. I've missed this. I've missed this a lot. Going into the final chicane, first driver on the circuit is the McLaren of Jamie Cash heading up to the line. Why is my game lagging that badly? I don't even know. Jamie Cash taking us through the first couple of corners. Back on the power on the exit of turn 2, heading in towards the chicane of 3 and 4, right up to the wall and clipping his front wheels against it. You can tell the condition of the circuit right now. It is most definitely on the slightly wetter side, as Jamie Cash has demonstrated exactly that. Heading in towards the chicane of turns 8 and 9 in the final sector. Or just as he heads into the final sector, coming up now. 50.0 in those first 2. Gets it stopped for the hairpin, albeit not ideally. Going all the way down to first gear is not really what you want to be doing with yourself, as he's now heading up in towards those final couple of corners. No, McLaren merging. What is it with these lag spikes? As he's emphatic the run through the last couple of corners of the final chicane. Here comes Kyle round the last corner up to the line. He's got a lot of battery left. I don't think Kyle's realised that you can now use overtake in qualifying, as he goes to the top with a 124.9. That's beaten by 2.5 seconds by the local Havoc gamer. He's gonna hope he can get his season started out. Words. I'm not used to this. He's gonna try and hope that he can get his season started in the best way possible with a victory. Elpignoc can only manage a 124.0 as Rocky 24.7 puts him in P3. Havoc Gamer still fastest by a second and a half as things stand. Going through the hairpin in the final sector is A-Games. He's backed off his run, but it will still go up on the timing sheets. It just won't be tremendously fast. Jeremy invalidated his run at the last chicane, so so this lap isn't going to count either. He's just starting his final run. But the Alpine of A-Games coming across the line, yeah. Not a competitive time. Kyle coming around again. He's just lapping the circuit at this point. Goes into P4 with a 128.4. I think, though, he was just doing that extra run. Sweatback Flames invalidated again. 125.4 on that lap, so it wasn't the greatest of runs anyway. He's got his fellow countryman Havoc Gamer right up behind him. The V-Cup driver always does seem to perform well in these conditions. Elpignoc has Rocky right behind him, and they've both got EJ right behind them, who's heading up the line. 123.4. Still 9/10 off the RB at the top of the timing sheets. So, yeah, despite everything, Havoc Game is still up there comfortably as well And he's improving again by a further half a second. I think at this point he will be slightly held up by Sweatback Flame. But he's already 9/10 clear, and he's a further he's a further half a second up. Jamie, as I say that, goes to the top with a 121.6. I'm not sure if the track's going to dry up later in the session, but as things stand, it's Jamie at the top, with Havoc Gamer in second, Sweatback Flame in third. As the pair go across the line, Havoc Gamer retakes that second place from Sweatback Flame, although he's now 3/10 off the McLaren. Honestly, I think Havoc Gamer might have lost out there from being too close behind Sweatback. It's beneficial on a track with lots of straights, but I think he was just a tiny bit too close. Yeah, Toe's really OP, but it did definitely seem like he was losing. He was just a tiny bit too close, and was losing out in the corners as a result. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he completely gained from it. I don't know. It's going around the final corner. Zyro is just beginning a flying run. There's also Scarlet coming in towards that final chicane. And behind, there's also Jamie, who's coming into the pit lane, having done quite a few runs on those tires. Scarlet goes up into P7 with a 124.2. Havoc and Sweatback are both seeming to be heading into the pit lane. No, Sweatback seems to be trying to recharge that battery, so is he thinking about going again? Havoc Gamer's back in. Not sure what Sweatback Flame is thinking of doing. He's going to go through that final chicane, and he's going to try to set another lap. I'm not sure if he's got the battery required for that, but he does head in towards that first corner. EJ as well, he's a tiny bit down as he heads into the final chicane, getting those rears sliding all over the place as he heads into the final chicane. He's got it stopped though, and up to the line. He can't improve as he loses a 10th through that final chicane. Rocky up to the line, goes into P3 with a 122.0, 10th off what Havoc Gamer could do. Scarlet as well, down on the time. A-Games has come back out on the lap, still on that wet tyre. Zyro heading in towards the last chicane as well, backed off his lap, so that one won't make it onto the timing sheets. A little bit of a slide through the final corner again. Are they going to start a run? Yes, they are. It's quite late with the ERS activation, and that could have cost a decent bit of time. Scarlet there, off the road, through that first, or on the exit of that first corner. Sweatback Flame, currently down on his time by a couple of tenths. He will get the toe from the XLR of Kyle ahead of him though, but will that be enough to drag him up to the line? 3/10 improvement, almost does hit the Kicksauber, but he goes up into P2. So that's a strong run, strong lap there, coming in from Sweatback Flame. Then Footface has gone around the last corner and up to the line. He goes, it's P5 with a 122.6. It's 6/10 off what Rocky can do, but 8/10 ahead of EJ, jumping out, welcoming Rocky into P2. The track does certainly seem to be ramping up at this stage in the qualifying session. A-Game's 8 seconds up on his previous time, which was not a representative one. He's only in medium down the straights, which is an interesting decision. Oh, I'm sure you can if I can be bothered to set that up. A-Games, around the final corner, goes into P7 with that lap, then gets on the grass. I think he might have been thinking about... Might have been thinking of going again, but losing that much time into the first corner will not help his chances, as Zyro has a little spin through that first corner. The two McLarens are still going again. Jamie Cash is a 10th down though on his personal best as he heads in towards the final sector. Going very low on the gears, although with the use of some traction control that is possible. Well, it probably still is slower than what it would be without. This teammate, is he going to get in the way? No, he's coming into the pit lane. He's following his teammate in. EJ's looking at the intermediate compound, which is an interesting decision. I do not know if the inters will pay off. Then there's that Footface who's on a lap. He's drifting all over the place through that second or third chicane off the circuit as he goes in towards that middle sector and then turns 8 and 9 up ahead of him at the end of the DRS zone, again drifting his way through the corners, but he seems to have done it in a pretty decent time as he's still going with this lap and is a 10th and a half up on his personal best as he heads around the hairpin of turn 10, then the quick left of 11, which leads him onto the straight all the way down into the final chicane, where just keeping it within the white lines will be key. Using up pretty much all the battery he's got left, keeping it in overtake under braking, which definitely limits the stability of the car and limits the amount that he has left for the run up to the line. And it's a 3/10 improvement or so, but he still can't find himself up any positions. Well, so the Sweatback Flame and EJ have both decided that it is intermediate conditions. Havoc Gamer and everyone else have stuck out on the full wets. I've seen a couple of times on this game that sometimes they're pretty much the exact same pace, but then the wets are so much more consistent that it's not worth going on to the inters, even though they're the exact same pace. Robin Yox had something on their outlap, it would appear, as that Havoc Gamer. He's going for the inters. Havoc Gamer's going inters with 3.5 minutes to go in Q1. Or not in Q1, sorry, in qualifying as a whole. Car's invalidated its lap before he gets to start it, or possibly invalidated at the end of his previous. As Rocky is a tiny bit down on his time, heading in towards the chicane of turns 8 and 9, back on the power. As soon as he can manage with these sketchy conditions, you lose so much time from any form of rear sliding that you just... I don't like these conditions because of how much you lose from a rear slide. You can see there, that slide probably cost him 0.5 to a tenth of a second. And yeah, the Rocky heading in towards the final chicane keeps it pretty much perfectly within the white lines, heading up towards the timing line, which can't come quite soon enough, but he does still go to pole position by a second. Finds a second on his run, improves now fastest by 0.6. The track evolution is very much there. Sweatback Flame, 0.5 second up as he heads in towards the final corner as well. It certainly seems that the track is drying, and it would, at least at the moment, appear that intermediates are the way to go. The Sweatback Flame around the final corner couldn't quite keep it neat and tidy through the chicane, and he can only go up into second place. EJ behind him, though, can't get it much higher than where he was at all, as he stays down in 8th. Yeah, Jamie and Havoc Gamer have both come out again on the on the intermediate tyres, deciding that they are the better compound to be on. Scarlet invalidated to run at the final corner, hit the wall as well by the looks of things, and lost a bit of, or lost their end plate, Most drivers are still on the wet tyres, but more and more are choosing that the inters are the way to go. And pretty much everyone will get one more lap from this point onwards. Wapignoc, backed off their run. Jeremy, coming in towards the final chicane, will be about to start his final lap of qualifying. As he does head in towards that first corner with the intermediate tyres, he slides rather wide through that first corner, and possibly it's still just a tiny bit too wet for the intermediate conditions. And if that is the case, then Rocky could be in a very solid position to take that top spot, take that pole position, and solidify himself at the front of the grid. Havoc Gamer going off the track there through turns 8 and 9. As he needs to make sure he makes it to the line in time, which he should. But it could be tight with the RB, because he needs to make sure he both gets to the line. He's only got a handful of seconds to go. Havoc Gamer might not make it. With only a handful of seconds to go, A-Game's around the final corner has invalidated his flying run. Rather, last corner, Havoc's not going to make it. He's not going to make it to the line. Or it's going to be very, very tight. No, he will, just about, with 3 seconds to spare, make it to the line to start a final run with the best conditions on the circuit. Rocky across the line improves by a further 0.3 of a second to extend that benchmark even further. Jeremy is down on his time. Sweatback Flame heading in towards the final corner, half tenth up as he heads into the final corner, up towards the line. Jeremy ahead of him isn't going to improve. Sweatback can find 0.3 through the final corner, but that's not enough. EJ into the pit lane, he's not improving. Footface down this time and invalidating, he's not improving either. Kyle across the line can't improve. Scarlett isn't improving either, comes into the pit lane. So it's all down to what Havoc can do. He's a 10th down at the moment as he heads in towards the final chicane, or in towards the hairpin. It could well be that it's still a tiny bit too wet for the intermediate tyres as Rocky sits at the top of the timing sheet still. Havoc Gamer through that final chicane. Can he find the time that he needs to improve on his lap? Currently sitting P5 as he heads up to the line. He finds close to 0.4 and will start the race in P3. In Canada, it's Rocky on pole, followed by the two local, Sweatback Flame and Havoc Gamer, Jammy and Wapignoc behind. In certainly a qualifying session of mixed fortunes. It's Rocky who's starting on pole with Sweatback Flame and Havoc Gamer starting behind him. Right. We are going for the formation lap, and pretty much everyone's decided to go with the medium tyres. So the front 7, all of the mediums. Then we got EJ, Kyle and Scarlett on the hard tyres. Then Zyro in 11th going with the softs, and Perkins starting at the back on the medium tyres, as is the front 7. So, like, this is the sort of race which could be anyone's. Like, obviously, front 3 are in the best position, but you know, depending on everything else, I expect Perkins to comfortably make up positions through the field. Like, I'd expect minimum a top 5 in this race. I mean, who knows? Dry conditions, dry track. Could be anyone's game, really. Rocky will park them up on the grid very shortly. Just how much will, you know, if the opportunity arises, will Sweatback Flame choose to run away with Rocky or try to go for the position himself? Would Sweatback Flame, would he be better off running away or having a train which hopefully Rocky can fall down? That's the sort of question that we're going to be asking throughout the 36 laps ahead of us. Here we go. Canadian Grand Prix to 5. Red lights as lights out. And away we go. Rocky does get a good start as he will lead them away into the first corner. Rocky leads from Sweatback Flame, who tries to late braking on the outside. Can't make the position. Jeremy moves up ahead of Avid Gamer, who makes contact. Will Wellbenyog through the first couple of corners. Both go off the road as Rocky continues to lead them away, followed by Sweatback Flame. Jeremy keeping with them in 3rd. A-Game's getting up into 4th with that start. Zyro facing the wrong way, losing a bit of his front wing through that first sector as well. Perkins up 4 already, up to 8th place on the back of Scarlett, looking to get her Williams ahead of the Aston Martin as soon as possible. Scarlett, who is still not deploying ERS and may not realise it, as that's a send from Kyle to the inside of the Aston Martin and moves himself up into 8th place. There's still going to be wheel-to-wheel, though, down in towards the final chicane. The front 3 seem to be starting to break away. Rocky just turning off the ERS towards the end of the straight. Almost invites Sweatback Flame to go for the move, but the Ferrari does choose not to brake too late into that final chicane. Havoc Gamer moves back up into 9th place as he's starting to work his way back through the field. Zyro into the pit lane at the end of the first lap to repair that front wing damage. Scarlett already picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings accumulated over the course of just that first lap alone, and that will be a minimum a fourth violation of the track limits, and it's not seeming to go too well for the Aston Martin so far. Sweatback Flame considers the move to the inside, but doesn't go for it just yet. There's contact with Jamming Cash, who's trying to get the overlap on the Ferrari. Wellbenyog's had a spin on the exit of turn 9 and lost a bit of his front wing. Here goes Sweatback Flame, though, and he moves up into the race lead at the end of lap 2. Gets the DRS again to extend his advantage. Jammy will hope to follow him through, but I don't think he's going to be close enough for that. Fastest lap of the race, of course, does go to the Ferrari as Scarlett moves back past Havoc Gamer with the DRS. Footface and Perkins wheel to wheel. The Williams, already moving herself back up into 6th place towards where she should be. EJ picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. This race is realistically going to go down to whoever gets the least track limits, warnings, and subsequent penalties. realistically, whoever gets the lease is going to be the one in the best position. No, Footface is not a Tier 1 driver. He just races quite regularly as a reserve, as do a few of these drivers. Oh, Rocky getting out of shape on the exit of the hairpin of turn 10, and that invites Jamie through and up into second place. And with the DRS, he's going to try and chase back after Sweatback Flame, who's starting to extend his advantage, but of course is reeled back in by the DRS. There goes Perkins, already up into 5th place. And I don't think it'll be... Oh, ZJ clattering into the barrier there. That might have been the loss of an end plate, which indeed it is. Losing his front right end plate, having hit the wall at the final corner. But look how much Perkins has already gained on A-Games. The Williams gaining on the Alpine with the hope to get herself back up into that top 4. And then it's the question of whether she can chase down those front 3 to get back up to the front. Wapniak already into the pit lane to change his front wing. Sweatback Flame still leads them as he heads through the turn 10 chicane, but this time Jamie Cash is much closer than he was on the previous lap, and here he goes with the DRS to move up into the race lead on lap 4 as they head in towards the final chicane, and he will extend that advantage with the benefit of the DRS, but he is also using more battery than everyone else in this front group. Havoc Gamer picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and so does the race leader. And that is what I'm saying. It's going to come down to whoever gets the least track limits penalties in this race. As Jamie picks up a 3-second already, Sweatback Flame making sure he just keeps within that 1-second margin to remain within the DRS and stay close and not fall back too far compared to the leader. And still having double the ERS, remaining in the battery to use on the straights. But Sweatback Flame does seem to be struggling now at this stage of the Grand Prix. Here he goes. This time they do all get the DRS to close back in on Jamie, whose attempt to break away have not worked, and if anything, all he's achieved is getting a penalty and draining his battery. Carl moves up into 8th place ahead of Scarlett as they go in towards the final chicane. Perkins moves past A-Games and up into 4th place with that 4.5 second margin to close seeming oh so daunting at this stage. EJ picks up a 3-second time penalty of the Grand Prix as he is starting to fall back an awfully long way. Yeah, but now Sweatback and Rocky are back on the diffuser of Jamie in the race lead. But surely Sweatback's not going to go for the move. He is going to go to the inside, up into the race lead through turns 8 and 9. But all that's going to do is invite Jamie straight back through with the DRS commencing now as he sends it to the inside into the hairpin of 10. Sweatback and Rocky now going to go side by side as the Red Bull will surely get himself back in front of the Ferrari, who doesn't get the DRS, having fallen behind before the detection zone. Sweatback still trying to fight on the outside as they go wheel to wheel. Sweatback though locks the rear wheels as he goes in towards that final chicane, and that is going to drop him from the front train. Rocky as well picking up a 3-second time penalty along with Jamie, but now Perkins is right there on the diffuser of Sweatback Flame. So now it's going to merge into 2 smaller trains at the front, with Jamie leading from Rocky with the gap of 1.3 seconds. Although I expect Rocky will have the slightly faster package across the entire race from what we've seen so far. He just needs to make sure he gets back within that DRS if he wants to stay close. But he has gained that advantage back so far, and he does indeed keep within that 1 second, and he can cool off and save some of that battery again that he's had to burn to stay close and keep up. But now, this is the important part. Perkins, I believe, no, she's just outside the 1 second window that's necessary. So that will be frustrating, but it's not the end of the world, as she can regroup and will likely get within that 1 second on the next attempt. Yeah, but Rocky is now right back up to Jamie in the McLaren, and as long as Rocky can really make sure he's, like, out of this front two, the win is going to come down to whoever gets less penalties. That's how races at Canada usually go. If there's a close train, it goes down to whoever has less penalties. And Rocky does definitely seem to be faster, and he got his penalty later, which may be a sign of being a little bit more cautious with the track limits. So, you know, the longer you can go without a penalty usually means the more, the less aggressive you are with the track limits, the less you are extending them, typically. So Jamie Cash, as they go through the hairpin, might have just picked up the DRS from the back marker in front of them. He is too far back, so he hasn't picked up the DRS, even though it seemed like he might have done. Here goes Rocky, though. He's got the DRS on the McLaren, and there's nothing Jamie can do. The Red Bull moves up into the race lead from where he started on pole. Rocky leads again, and Jamie's got to settle for second. Sweatback, Flame and Perkins surely have to work together here to both gain back the time and get back to the positions where they should be, surely. So there's a yellow flag. Someone has gone off the circuit. I could not tell you who. It may well have been Zyra going slowly to let some of the leaders go through. So I didn't see any major swings in time. Rocky now over half a second clear at the front. Now that I say that, he has lost the time through the DRS. So Jamie going very wide there, though. Did he hit the wall? I don't think he did. No, he didn't. He hasn't hit the wall, but he's certainly got out of shape. Might have lost a bit of his confidence there. And he's fallen almost a second back. This is the sort of gap that Rocky will need if he wants to open a second window. There's Jamie as well. Got a second time penalty as that was going on. Rocky will maintain the lead as they go through the final chicane. And now this is what Rocky needs. He needs to utilise this now to gain and open up that 1 second margin. Here goes Perkins to the inside of Sweatback Flame into the first corner. And surely she gets that move down. Sweatback's not giving it up, though, as they go wheel to wheel. The Ferrari does maintain his advantage. But Perkins, you can tell she's agitated behind. She wants to get through. Footface has lost his end plate there on the right-hand side, which will most likely have been clipping the wall of champions at the final corner. But Rocky's still out front, but I think on this occasion Jamie will be close enough to gain. There's a yellow flag there. Is that... No, sorry, that's Zyra who's got off the track. It is sometimes hard to tell the colours of the dots. I believe EJ has actually made a pit stop onto the medium compound of tyre, have repaired his front wing damage. Here goes Jamie. He's still going to be too far back. So for now, Rocky's just going to be sitting comfortably with less penalties and the on-track upper hand. And then Sweatback and Perkins are still just battling it out behind. Surely one of them has to try and undercut her, because they're not going to magically gain. Because at the rate they're going, they're just not gaining, because Rocky is the pace setter and Jamie's staying with him with the DRS. And neither of them are as fast as Rocky, and neither of them have the DRS that Jamie has, so they're just not going to gain at this stage. So surely they've got to try something different, try an undercut or something. And Jamie is staying behind the Red Bull of Rocky, and he will retake the race lead on this occasion, assuming nothing incredibly unexpected happens. Khan Havoc Gamer having a bit of a battle there as the Kick Sauber gets himself ahead of the RB. But yeah, here comes Jamie, and he's going to move straight back past, up, into the race lead. Here he goes with the DRS, switches to the outside. He seemed to just take a while to make his mind up on the direction he was going. He chose the outside, and he takes the race lead back from the Red Bull. But Rocky has had a much better exit through the last corner. Jamie has the advantage of the DRS though, and he's able to hold his position into the first chicane. But then Rocky's behind this lap, and he'll just breeze straight back past again, which is the way it goes. Foot phase picks up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane with the change of front wing as well. Rocky getting out of shape there as they go through the chicane of 6 and 7, but he is saving battery in the wake of Jamie Cash, or Jamie Boy as he's now called. He certainly is saving battery, so as long as he remembers, which he has done, he will be in a very good position to go straight back past, down, into the final chicane. Here they go again, there's a yellow flag. That is a Zyro off the track again. Honestly, quite lucky that we haven't had a safety car yet in this Grand Prix, or possibly unlucky, depending on your opinions and feelings. A safety car right now would heavily benefit Perkins and Sweatback Flame, two of them still yet to receive a time penalty. Havoc Gamer coming into the pit lane on lap 13, deciding enough is enough of these tires. Rocky has made his way past Jamie Cash, or past Jamie, through those first couple of corners. So now the Red Bull leads again, but Jamie will just go past him down the main straight, having saved the battery to do so. Havoc Gamer rejoins the race in 8th place, having made an earlier than ideal pit stop, but only 3 seconds of time penalties isn't disastrous for him. And there are still very close gaps throughout the entire field. Kyle, in P5, admittedly does have the tyre advantage as things stand, but he is doing a very good job so far to be in the position that he is in. Here goes Jamie, and you'd expect him to retake the race lead, although he might be a tiny bit too far back, or at least on this lap, to go for the position. Although possibly this time around, he will be close enough as they go into turn 1. How brave is he thinking about being? He chooses to stay behind instead. Perkins comes into the pit lane. So does A-Games. There's a yellow flag through the final corner, which may have been Kyle having an off through that last corner. Oh no, sorry. Sweatback Flame. What's happened there? So Sweatback Flame's gone off the track at some point through that final chicane. Havoc Gamer moves up into P7. He's going to be close-ish with Charlotte. Close-ish with Perkins. It's not actually tremendously close. Havoc Gamer, though, up into P7 ahead of A-Games, which gives you a sense of where he is at the moment. Perkins with the undercut is going to be hoping to retake the place, or take the place on Sweatback Flame for good, and then hopefully her aim will be to undercut the race leaders and move up into that lead, or at least the front fight here. Jamie is coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 14, so this will test how strong a one-lap undercut is at this circuit. It's quite a short pit lane, so the undercut could be decently powerful, as pitting doesn't lose you too much time, although the short lap won't help much with that. Yeah, it's still going to be a comfortable margin for the McLaren as he emerges quite comfortably ahead still of the McLaren, the Williams. Zyro's gone off again through the hairpin. EJ picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That's his third penalty of the race, putting him up to a total of 9 seconds. Oh, there's contact between Kyle and Scarlett, the two of them getting Kyle braked earlier, I think, than the Aston Martin was expecting. And then they just came together through turn 8. Scarlet has given that place back, possibly due to an illegal overtake from the game. Zyra's gone off the circuit again. Rocky is going to continue out on the circuit. So, yeah, certainly as things stand, I think Jamie will be pulling off the undercut on the Red Bull, but it depends how much of a tyre advantage Rocky can swing in favour of himself as he stays out for just a little bit longer. Surely he's got to come into the pit lane this lap. There's no way he goes even longer than what he's already done. I think it's got to be this lap if he comes in. Because he's gotten pretty much half the race on tyres that don't seem to be that quick anymore. Because Kyle has been working his way up the field on the hards. So I think certainly the hard tyre becomes faster after a decent, after not that many laps. Here goes Jamie. He is stuck in the traffic of Kyle, who I previously mentioned. He's practically pushing the Kicksauber through the corners, and he does get that DRS and will likely go for the lunge into the hairpin. Moves up into second place, and only 15 seconds behind Rocky in the race lead, who stays out yet again, slightly lighting up the rears through the final corner. But thankfully, keeping the car in a straight line. Jamie has certainly lost time, I think, trying to work his way through that traffic, but then the DRS afterwards will most likely make up for it. But what can Rocky do in free air? How much can he gain? And how much will he lose by staying out for this long? Car's already lost the second to Jamie, but just thanks to the... Oh, someone's gone off there. Is that EJ? Yes, it is. EJ's gone off through the first couple of corners. The drivers we all thought would be in the championship fight have... I mean, none of them have had a great race here. Perkins actually picked up a 3-second time penalty somewhere in all of that. A-Games as well has a 3-second. Havoc in P6 also sitting on a 3-second. Sweatback Flame, one of the two last drivers without time penalties. As soon as I say that, Havoc Gamer picks up another time penalty. Welpen York facing the wrong way with front wing damage. Rocky stays out yet again. When is Rocky going to pit? Is he waiting in the hope of a safety car? Because, I mean, with the way this race is going, it's by no means out of the realms of possibility. But I feel like if there's no safety car, it's going to go really, really poorly for him. Surely, unless he's trying to go to the soft tyres, there's no way he's stretching for softs. Not on this game, surely. I mean, there's a chance he's trying it, but I feel like it's unlikely to be stretching for softs on F124. Because they seem to be the most unwanted tyre on the game. At pretty much every track. I don't know, we'll see. Because from what I recall, the hards are a very, very good tyre here. But maybe Rocky knows differently, I don't know. And I think he's staying out too long. As now he does come into the pit lane from the race lead. Jamie is going to take that lead back, but by how much? And how much will the tyre difference of Rocky make a difference? He does go onto a set of the hard compound tyres. Zyra's gone off the circuit again. Jamie retakes the race lead into turn 1. And yeah, Rocky's going to be behind Perkins here, which shows just how much he stayed out for too long on those medium tyres, and he's fallen behind the Williams of Perkins. So, how much will he gain back with the tyre difference? There's just some game desync up ahead. Jamie picks up another 3-second time penalty. And that has put him onto a total of 9. And now, all of a sudden, Perkins is into the net race lead. From the back of the grid, with only 3 seconds of time penalty, she's sitting in the net race lead, only 5.3 seconds back of a driver who has 6 seconds more time penalties. Unlike Jamie, she does sit behind Kyle, who runs deep at the hairpin, doesn't fight her. So now Perkins moves up into second on the road, but it's still the net race lead. And with the DRS now, she's going to gain to be only 5 seconds behind of, I believe, Scarlett's into pit lane, which I would be correct in my belief. Sweatback Flame sets the fastest lap of the race in the trail behind A-Games here. Surely Rocky as well has got to work his way through this traffic as soon as possible. Surely he's just got to send it here. He's got the DRS. Is it... Like, I don't think it's going to be worth it for him to stick behind for another couple of corners. Look how much time he's losing. He's just got to go. Surely. He thinks it's worth it, but... No. Or is he? You know, he is staying behind. I've just noticed Footface has 20... Oh, what is going on here? Okay, yeah. Yeah, game. I've just noticed Footface has 25 seconds of time penalties. I'm not sure how that one happened. Sweatback Flame and A-Games go side by side through the hairpin as the Ferrari does, swing his way around the outside and moves up into 6th place. Surely Rocky's got to go now. And he does. He does move up into 3rd place. Havoc Gamer's going to follow him past the Kicks Albert, who does come into the pit lane. So now the race is we are in a situation where it's Perkins from Sweatback Flame as the front 2 in this race. Like, I think, yeah, my mental math is correct. So Perkins is going to win with Sweatback Flame about a second behind, with Jamie in 3rd. But honestly, all it takes is one safety car and Sweatback Flame's in the net race lead. That's all it takes. Footface picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Sweatback not got the opportunity to go past Havoc Gamer yet, but he really should. And he honestly needs to if he wants to get up into a race winning contention. Because there's only so much you can do when you're 8.5 seconds back. Like, he's got no time penalty, yes, but he's not comfortably in that position at all. Havoc Gamer just lets him go. Sweatback Flame moves around the outside and up into 4th on the road, 8 seconds behind the race leader of Jamie Cash, with 9 seconds less track limits penalties. As it stands still, that's Zyra going slowly through the first couple of corners, but still, as it stands, Perkins is in the net race lead with Sweatback in 2nd, Jamie in 3rd. But anything could change. There's a yellow flag through that final corner. I think EJ and Footface have both found themselves off the road, both heading into the pit lane as a result of it. Havoc Gamer picks up a 9th track limits penalty as he is down in 5th. EJ retires from the session, which I think is surprising. Like, you're going to get points. You can just limp it home and you're getting points at this stage. Is Zyra not? Yeah, no, Zyra is a lap down. So EJ retired, Footface moves up into P9, which is where he'll almost certainly stay. Yeah, this race seemed like it was dying down when Rocky pitted, but then Jamie, with that extra time penalty, has put Perkins in the net race lead. All she needs to do is cruise for the next 13 laps. I mean, it's easier said than done, but surely this race is in... surely the ball's in her court now. Completely. Well, that being said, now that I say that, Sweatback Flame is within those 3 seconds. So, actually, as things stand, Sweatback Flame's the net race leader from Perkins, and then Jamie's in 3rd, and Rocky's not far behind either. Jamie could fall a long way from these penalties. I mean, Rocky and Sweatback being right there on the diffuser of Perkins. This is all very, very tight at the front. Although you wouldn't think so from everyone being 6 seconds behind the leader. Well, actually, Perkins has... Surely she's made a mistake on that previous lap, which is now, as I was just saying, the ball's in her court. She's hit it straight back and out of play. Because now, Sweatback Flame moves up into 3rd place, and he's in the net race lead, and Perkins is sitting in a very precarious 2nd place, which is at a high risk of being lost. Unless, actually, she can work with Sweatback Flame. It depends how cooperative the Ferrari is feeling. Because obviously if Sweatback gets a penalty, then Perkins ahead is a direct rival. And I've just noticed... No, I haven't noticed because I'm reading the wrong times. Rocky has not completely fallen off a cliff. He is still right there. He's very much still right there. Not on top of my game at the moment. Perkins gets a 2nd time bounty of the race. And suddenly, from what seemed to be going so smoothly, she's now got Sweatback Flame behind her as the net race leader. Jammy's net P2, and Rocky is net 3rd place as things stand. As there's the yellow flag, that is caused by... Is that Zyra going slowly? Yes, it is. Yeah, he's not having the greatest of Grand Prix. But here goes Sweatback, up into 2nd place. The net race leader is now up into 2nd with no time penalties to his name and within 6 seconds of the leader. If this front 3 work together, they could finish... If this... Or 2nd 3, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, if these guys work together, they could get a 1, 2, 3. Like, they could be the front 3 if they work together and get close enough to Jamie Cash. But it depends how cooperative they're feeling, who's got the pace, who's lost the pace, because as things stand, Perkins seems to be struggling at the moment. She seems to be struggling on those tyres, which is understandable because of how early she pitted, but I don't know. She's not in the greatest of positions, some could say. Because she's got the DRS, but I don't think she's close enough to Sweatback to make it work. Like, she's not close enough to do anything with it. She's got it, but she can't do anything with it. Footface has now been lapped by the front 4, as he's come in again for another pit stop. But yeah, Jamie... So Sweatback Flame net race leader with Rocky... Or with Jamie Cash, or Jamie a couple of seconds behind him. Rocky not far behind either. And Rocky's only a couple of tenths away from a 2nd place finisher. Rocky stayed out way too long compared to Jamie Cash. He should have come in the lap after, honestly. He lost this race because he stayed out for too long. And that allowed him to fall behind Sweatback as well. If he had just pitted when Jamie did, he would be close to the McLaren still, with 6 seconds less of penalties. And then it would be a debate. Perkins through the final, or through the hairpin, has got a slide again. Those tyres are dead on the Williams. And that's Rocky with the DRS gaining, and may well be moving ahead of Jamie in the race lead. Yes, Jamie is in the race lead as things stand, but he's now fallen down to a net 3rd place, as Rocky is now within 6 seconds of the leader. So, Jamie, he's been brilliant, honestly, in this race. But especially as a circuit like Canada, the most important thing is to keep the car within the lines, and Jamie didn't do that. He hasn't done that enough. He's gone outside the lines 9 times, and that's got him a 9-second time penalty. Like, he definitely had the pace. He had the raw pace, for sure. He just couldn't utilise it, as Scarlett's gone off again. Havoc Gamer makes it 12 seconds of time penalties. And he's had the pace as well, just also can't keep it within the white lines. And couldn't keep it out the barriers on the first lap. Admittedly, from what I saw of that, it didn't seem to be his fault, but I caught a vague glimpse of him going straight off the track, so I don't know. But Rocky, yeah, he's gaining comfortably. For Perkins to get into a third place, these leaders need to gain a further 2 seconds on what they've already gained, which honestly in 7 laps, especially with Rocky having the best tyres in the field, isn't impossible. They could do it. A Sweatback Flame gets a 3-second time bounty. EJ's disconnected. He's actually already retired. But now, Rocky is in the net race lead, and he will want to get away. It's no longer, like, Sweatback Flame is no longer just not his race. He's very much his race now. With the Ferrari only 6 tenths behind, and now being the battle for position. But what's happened on this previous lap for Jammy? He's lost so much time to the leaders. Is Jammy's tyres starting to hit the same cliff that Perkins did? They might have done, because Jammy's lost so much time. Or possibly it's just that Rocky is lapping incredibly quickly. Or maybe it's both. Because Perkins is having to push to keep up, which he has just about done, but I doubt she will for long, as now Rocky is 3.5 seconds behind the race leader. And that gap, I'd suspect, is only going to come down further. That's Zyro, who's off the track again. Yes, it is. But with only a handful of laps to go, Rocky, being only 3.4 seconds behind Jammy Cash, with 6 seconds less track limits penalties, is massive. Perkins will drift to an unfortunate P4 in the end. She had to try something different. Had to try the undercut. It just didn't work. And it worked initially, just the tyres are well and truly gone. Wapignon gets another 3-second time penalty, down in 10th place, and lapped by the leaders. Lapped by almost the entire field, actually, now that I look at it. Where's Footface got to? He's there, in between Havoc Game and A-Games. But look how much time Rocky is taking out of Jammy. He's just biting the time out of absolutely nothing. Like, it's no problem for him. He'll keep having multiple goes at it. Like, Sweatback Flame considering to send the lunge, but he is wise not to, because Rocky is who is dragging him right up to the diffuser of Jammy. So Rocky now, he's just taking chunks of time out of the leader. Perkins is just unfortunately not able to stay close to them, which is a shame, because it would have been a great result if she could have got in the top 3. I mean, it's still possible if Jammy gets another penalty. Oh no! Sweatback Flame has gone into the barriers in his home race from being in the net race lead at one stage, being on the actual race lead at one stage. He's now looped it whilst being seemingly cruising for a comfortable 2nd place, and he's now fallen to 5th with front wing damage. That is game over. Obviously he's not out of the Grand Prix, but that's his chances of victory over. He's still looking likely to finish ahead of his fellow countryman just ahead of him. But as it stands, Havoc Game is going to settle for a 4th. Perkins on the podium. The other driver that seems to be fighting for the title has retired. So Sweatback Flame goes for the soft tyres, which I think honestly might be slower at this track than just pitting for mediums with how long is left. But Sweatback Flame, he's thrown it away, and from comfortable 2nd place, he's down, sitting in 8th. And with only a couple of laps to go, he'll get 7th for the track limits penalties, but he's thrown it away. And you can tell from the way he's taking these corners, he is so frustrated himself. Because this was his chance. He was sticking with Rocky. He seemed to be slightly better with the limits than Rocky. And he was at very least a second at his own race. And then all it takes is just one slide, and then you're in the barrier, and it's race over. I thought Rocky had thrown away his race from the time that he pitted, but now the Red Bull is flying. He's so much faster right now than Jammy. I mean, with the rate that he's going, give him a lap and he'll be in the DRS. I mean, Jammy can try and play DRS games and hold him back and stuff, but holding up Rocky is only going to allow Birkins to get closer. Like, there's no point fighting it, because Rocky's just going to go. Because he's faster and has less penalties at this stage. Rocky's just... There's no point trying to play the DRS game, surely. Yes, they go in towards the final chicane. Rocky gets to pretty much within a second for the first time since the pit stops, with 3 laps to go now as Jammy crosses the line. That's off the track. That's an off for Zyro. Havoc Gamer again with another track limits penalty. He just needs to keep it on the track, and he's to get that 4th place ahead of A Games, and he's just almost... He's throwing it away as well. I mean, he should still be fine. He should still have the necessary gap to A Games, but it's just many just what-if races out here today. Scarlet comes into the pit lane. Sweatback Flame also, I think, is worth noting. He's already up into P6. And that's where he's going to finish. Shows that he is much faster than everyone else. He already has the fastest lap. Here's Rocky within 1 second of the race leader. And this race is completely Rocky's to lose. I feel like it was from the start, but yeah, Rocky is now in a very comfortable position. And so they go on to the... so there's now 2 to go. Rocky will probably take the lead going on to the final lap. And, I mean, Jammy can take it back if he wants. He's not going to do anything. Rocky will win this race, assuming there's no other time penalties chucked on at the end. Sweatback Flame, what could have been? What could have been for the Ferrari? Goes so well, and then he just chucked it away with so little time left. He does get the fastest lap. He takes it off his... he takes the fastest lap, which he actually already held. Yes, they're going on to the final lap. He's spun again. And that's just thrown away P6. As now Car goes through. He's probably going to be fast enough to retake it, assuming he doesn't throw it away again. Sweatback Flame. It's a race utterly of just what-ifs. What could have been? Where did it go wrong? Actually, I know where it went wrong. It went wrong when he spun. So close, yet so far. It's the sort of race that you look at it from the outside and think, that's not that bad of a result, until suddenly you realise the backstory of the race and how dreadful it will feel for a driver, as that is Welpenyok off the circuit again. He's had a miserable race as well, but he's still going to come around to the line in the top 10 and will be in the points, assuming he's not lapped that many times that it won't count. But again, I've been saying about races that could have been. It's yet another driver that it could have been for is this one, the race leader, Jammy, who took the 3rd place immediately off the line, worked his way up the DRS train. The one thing he's incredibly good at is just getting through a DRS train and just holding it. But unfortunately, something he's less good at in this Grand Prix was keeping it within the lines. He's going to come across the final corner, and he may lead them across the line. But it's Rocky who wins the Canadian Grand Prix. having taken it home with 6 seconds less track limits penalties being the deciding factor. Havoc Gamer comes home. Perkins comes home P3 from the back of the grid. Havoc Gamer P4. A Games comes home in 5th. Sweatback Flame is definitely he comes home in 6th, but it's a race of what if, what could have been, and just a race of missed opportunities as he heads around the final corner. Sweatback Flame comes home in P6, having been in 2nd. Looked like he was in the net race lead for so long as well. Could definitely have got a much better position. Scarlett's going to come home P7, but that will be inherited by Kyle on his return. Kyle gets 7th, Scarlett 8th, Footface 9th, and Welpen York in 10th. Quite the race out there. I mean, Rocky takes the victory, but Jamie was so close at that stage as well. I mean, they crossed the line separated by 5 thousandths of a second. Perkins takes home P3 from the back of the grid. She can be happy with that one as well. Havoc Gamer P4, definitely a frustrating one. I mean, what could have been if it wasn't for the contact on that first lap? A Games as well. Sweatback Flame. Just, if only he just kept the car in the straight line there. I know he'll have been so frustrated with himself. Kyle coming home P7. I think he can be happy with that one. On his return, Scarlett 8th, Footface 9th, and Welpen York coming home in 10th for the final points paying position. I mean, I think my drive for the day, I don't know. I'd have to say Perkins from the back of the grid to 3rd. I mean, could also go to pretty much anyone really. Rocky or Jamie as well could have taken it, but yeah, that was the first race back of Tier 2. And if you liked that, make sure to be around tomorrow evening, where we've got the first race of Tier 1 taking place in Miami.